please turn off your camera or you can leave the session. Great. So the recording has started, and I just want to welcome you all to this Arborist call. Today is the 7th of March, and I'm Billy hosting today's call. And the agenda for today's meeting is, as usual, we'll hear some updates from the ECC and the Zcash Foundation core development teams. Then we'll have some updates on the research and implementation work. And finally, we'll have some time for announcements, and if there's any open discussion that we can have, then that'll be done for that. So what is the Arborist call? It is a bi-weekly call where the Zcash protocol contributors meet up to discuss the upgrade timelines and process, protocol research and development efforts, design and implementation of new protocol features, and we try to identify blockers and unresolved issues. And the purpose of this call is to try to make Zcash protocol development accessible to all interested parties and to provide more transparency for everyone. So anyone can register to attend. You can go to zcasharborist.org, and you can also become more involved and present during this call. And if you want to do that, you can email us at arboristcall@zfnd.org to request a presentation slot. Outside of this Arborist call, you can participate in the Zcash community in a number of other ways. You can apply to one of the grant programs, and you can take part in community discussions either in the Zcash and the Discord or the Zcash community forum. And there are clickable links for all of these at zcasharborist.org. Now, if I haven't gone too fast, we can move on to today's agenda, and we'll first have an update on Zebra, which is the Zcash Foundation's node implementation. And I think, Ari, are you giving the update today?
Yes, thank you, Pili. So since the last Arborist call, we have updated Zebra gRPC's build scripts to add the experimental allow proto 3 optional flag so that it can be compiled with older versions of Protalk, added more unit tests for the register keys scan service and scan service request and the Zebra scan gRPC methods, add the scan gRPC method for registering keys and getting a stream of results as they're found, added gRPC server reflection and docs for how to use the Zebra scan gRPC server in the Zebra book. We also made updates to our CI so that it works better for PRs from external contributors, added a scan task test for to CI, and released ZebraD version 1.6.0. And as part of our hack sprint, we also restored Windows support to Zcash scripts, coming soon to Zebra as well, and added an alpha release of a Zebra app. Thank you to Strad for an assist with the Windows support. Finally, thanks to Bishop Checkmate for removing some circular dependencies to allow for Rust creator runs, and thanks to IDKY137 for replacing match statements on network in Zebra's tests to help minimize the changes needed for adding a custom testnet parameters and reg test later. That's all for the Zebra update.
Great, thank you, Arya.
Cool. It's great to hear about Zcash script working on Windows now.
Yes, thank you to Conrad. I don't know if we mentioned that, who managed to fix that. I think it was a one-line change in the end, but yeah, good job there. Any other questions? Okay, let's move on to the updates from the ECC on the wallet SDKs and maybe Zcash. I'm not sure.
Yep. So the last since the last Arborist call 2 weeks ago, we have been focused solely on getting the Rust crates and things all ready for Zcash 1.0. So last week's work was all of the pre-orchard pieces. So there was some more extra refactoring that was happening and that we landed, and there were bunch of like other bug fixes and stuff, but we got the next releases of the Zcash primitives, Zcash proof, Zcash line backend, and so on crates out at the end of last week. And then this week is all about getting the pieces in necessary for orchard support. So we've done a bunch of work on various reorgy bits that needed to happen in terms of blockers. We've been reviewing Andrew Arnott's account changes, which is also going to go in as part of refactoring those. And then Chris is busy working away on Zcash Client SQLite pieces at the moment for that. The other thing that we did is we published a new release of the Zcash address crate 0.3.2, which has text address support as at 320 text addresses. So you should just need to, if you're using that crate, just do a cargo update, and you will now have immediate and without you needing to do anything, your application will start saying text addresses are unsupported. You'll still need to implement something to use them, but if you're using that crate, but your users now will immediately learn that these are not invalid addresses; they are unsupported by your application. So and then obviously once you update it, you can then start using that, detecting text addresses and using them.
So could Zcash address just no, it
can't because of the source.
No. Because the whole point is to report to the application that they have to make a transparent transfer, and that requires a change to the application. Yeah,
exactly. So the correct change here is what we've implemented, which is the parser now supports text addresses, but by default, when you transparently upgrade, it returns an error of transparent source restricted addresses are unsupported. And so it's as opposed to not a valid Zcash address, which is what most parsing libraries would return. But yeah, people using the Zcash address crate still need to make a change to that. And we, if you're using the Zcash client backend, we currently don't have text address support in that. That's also coming, because that's the piece that requires. Because it requires creating multiple transactions, that's where all the new proposal APIs and pieces come in. Speaking of, we should have new releases of the Swift and Android SDKs shortly, fingers crossed, like a 2.0 whatever the next number is, that contain new APIs for constructing transactions. And so that's the proposed transfer, proposed shielding, and create proposed transactions, which can return multiple transactions. Because once we have text address support, one proposal will result in two transactions. The SDKs don't currently create those, but the APIs are there, and the old ones are marked as deprecated so that people can migrate across. So that will be in the next release of the two mobile SDKs.
Yeah, and we have a deadline for a security audit of Zashi, so that functionality is going to need to be released next week, essentially.
Great, thank you, Strat, and good luck with the security audit. Fingers crossed.
Thank you.
Any questions for on the wallet SDKs or anything else?
Is it okay to talk about the conclusions of the security audit for Zashi iOS? I think so, because most of the conclusions are public in GitHub.
Yeah, there isn't a report yet. That the reports are still ongoing, but the auditor very kindly let us know of the things that they found initially, so that we can get on with them.
And those are all in hand. So those will be fixed in Zashi 1.0, or at least sort of well enough for the release.
Okay, great. Any other comments, questions? Okay, let's move on to research and implementation updates. We don't actually have an update for Frost because we've been doing a hack sprint for last week and this week. And I don't think the first team has been working on Zebra project, so there's no changes to Frost. But hopefully next hour is cool. So next is trailing finality. Is that you, Dara?
Yes, that's me. Yep, nothing really to report on this. yeah, I'm on the hook to write up. Oh, there is something to report. Actually, we had a very productive meeting, R&D meeting with Zaki Manian, who is associated with Comet BFT. Knows a lot about that, and so we asked a lot of technical questions and got very detailed answers about Comet BFT and about sort of various projects using it, like Polygon and Penumbra, and there's a few others.
Cool. Yeah, we'll look forward to hearing more when there's more progress in.
And I was going to say that I'm on the hook to write up Crosslink 2 before I go to Hacks, which is a cryptography conference on the 19th.
Cool. There'll be some, well, a couple of Zcash Foundation people there, so everyone should say hi.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have the Sustainability Fund. Is there anyone here today to talk about that?
I do not see anybody.
Okay, we'll move on to Zcash shielded assets. Vivek, is that you today?
Hi, everyone. So yeah, I'd like to start first with some project updates. So I think in our update last month, we shared that we had given an initial draft of the asset swap zip 228. So that's still there. We've made some minor like typo corrections and some other streamlining. That's still there as it is. I think very soon after the Arborist call, I think the next week, we also like submitted our transaction testing tool for the Zebra node. So yeah, just I think like one thing that came up in the last Arborist call when I mentioned that it was nearly done was that like I think the ECC people asked that it be a separate repo. So yeah, I confirmed that it is a separate repo, and I'll link the repo after my update. So yeah, we hope that this is useful to both Zebra and ECC teams and any other wallet developers who want to do transaction generation on Zebra. So the other major push that we've been doing in the last few weeks has been the backward compatibility for Orchard, which is that allowing like our code to support both V5 and V6 transactions at the same time. So there's been good progress in that respect. I think the work on the Orchard crate is pretty much complete. I think there are some places in the Libra Zcash crate where there needs to be support for V6 transaction that still needs to be added, like need to be fixed properly. So I think that's pending, but we've made good progress on that. At the same time, I've also been refactoring the test vectors repository so that we have like the work that we have that is already there for Orchard is a separate set of vectors, and the additions that we have for ZSA are separate so that we can generate vectors for transaction V5 and V6 at the same time and separately as well. So yeah, that's the details for the project, ZSA project. We have another update, which is that we've been working on putting together a proposal of our roadmap for like on Zcash and with ZSAs for 2024. So yeah, I think we'd already spoken about part of this work in like our grant last year, saying that we would like add features to improve compatibility with exchanges and allow for greater user control over whether they can accept incoming transactions and things like that. So we are also going to additionally focus some part of our proposal on adding support for stablecoins onto Zcash. So like we feel that this is like there's a big opportunity here to allow stablecoins to also join in on Zcash. So yeah, we'd be excited to see how that goes. We'll give, I think, more details soon. But
yeah, maybe I can add to that. This is like following chats with basically everyone. As soon as before even Vivek did a demo on Zcon 4 of a running ZSA on Zcash D, we already had knocks on the door of people that wanted to use whatever prototype we have to start doing stablecoins. the special thing about stablecoins is that they're not really decentralized. There's something there that that kind of it's more difficult to keep the same parameters of a decentralized currency when you're dealing with one neck to choke and a place where the regulator can go target the holders of the underlying assets. So we're actually taking advantage of that and saying, okay, well, since this is something that that is very different from the regular, decentralized approach, then each asset will be able to separately decide how they approach privacy. But we need, in order for large issuers of stable coins, in order for them to be able to come to Zcash and use it as like a place that you can issue assets, we need to actually take into account their needs for like accountability, etc. And so it's going to be, I think, the most centralized part of the decentralized ecosystem Zcash, but the impact is going to be on all of ZEC and all of the ecosystem. So we're trying to explain all of that in our proposal, like how we approach it, why is there an opportunity, what we think is the first step to develop, and we're going to first get more feedback on the roadmap for everyone, and then on the forum have a like a direct discussion. This is for 2024, so it's live. If we succeed the pace of this, then yeah, Zcash is potentially eligible for large issuers of centralized or of like a stable coins to come and issue that on Zcash, which I think is is tremendous.
So can you explain what you think the impact on other assets would be of having stablecoins on Zcash?
I mean, if this works well, then you might have competition on putting the transactions in the blocks, in which case you will have some effect on ZEC itself, because you in order to have a ZSA
right.
transaction, you will need to
yeah.
And generally speaking, I think it's going to be putting awareness on the Zcash ecosystem and like the unfair advantage that it has against other ecosystems that don't have core privacy. I think it's going to be like put forward, but bear in mind that those assets that will decide to be issuing to be stable coins probably will relinquish much of the privacy part towards the issuer. So the issuer will be kind of like all-knowing, but this is like opt-in. Anyone that wishes to use this asset will be using it, and other assets are like not affected.
So why specifically to the issuer rather than to the holder of a specific key pair? Because logically, issuance and sort of having a view of all of the transfers within a given asset are independent.
The entity that will be facing the most constraints from a regulation perspective, and that will actually need this view, is probably first and foremost the issuer, and then second wave is you could imagine like exchanges or something like that. But we take care of or we propose to take care of exchanges in a much more privacy preserving way with other features.
So I'm just thinking, even if it's the same legal entity, it doesn't necessarily mean that you use the same key pair, because you might want to keep let's say the regulatory compliance division of that entity separate from the issuance division, because you don't want every employee in the who's checking regulatory compliance to be able to issue. Or vice versa.
So I don't think like we aren't planning to have like the same issuance key be used
Right, okay.
as the. So
That-
it
that
will
was- that was
probably
what I
be
was
like
trying
a
to get to.
different key.
Yeah.
No, actually, what we're planning is to have a verifiable encryption piece where the people that are part of a transaction self-report to the issuer or to the legal entity of the issuer, but you could have like a department there, what happened in the transaction in an encrypted form on the blockchain. So you could have a separation, and it's provably reported so that they know every other node can accept that this requirement of that particular asset was met. It's a far-reaching jump, but I think the implication of having a like big stablecoins joining Zcash could be huge. Fingers crossed.
I'm just thinking about possible security weaknesses of that approach.
Yeah, I think the main thing that this leads to, and I think it was mentioned by Vivek in passing, was that if, and big if still on whether this kind of like arbitrary centralized condition on transaction in an asset were included, it would be imperative that users be able to control what kinds of assets they accept. Because otherwise, if anyone would be able to DOS your wallet otherwise by sending your address
that's
asset
another
types that you are unable to transact in.
Or
that is
because
actually
you don't accept the privacy trade-offs. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
so that is actually
could actually be unable.
thing
The conditions might be, you are not an entity from some particular place or country, or whatever, and to interact with this, or by holding this asset, you are in violation of yada yada, because that's the kind of thing that these controls are designed to enforce. And the moment that happens, you could then brick people's wallets, because they would be unable to do anything with their wallet without violating those legal conditions, which is a huge risk.
Yeah, so that is one of the additional features that we plan to do during this thing. So there's transaction acceptance, compatibility with exchanges, and verifiable encryption to the issuer of a stablecoin. That's like kind of broadly what we're going to be doing in 2024, or proposing to do. Where we have a proposal that we're going to submit soon, and this is in parallel to finishing asset swaps, which is the ongoing process.
Yeah. So I was thinking about sort of potential weaknesses, and if you're encrypting, it doesn't matter whether it's verifiable or not, to a key that is shared between all transactions for a given asset, then the private key becomes a big target. So you either need, I think, to be able to rotate that key. I think rotating the key is pretty much the only solution there.
So
or you need to be able to keep the ciphertext off chain, I guess.
I propose that we keep those conversations to later. One other thing that I don't know if now is the time, or if you have like a general thing, but I'm afraid my kids are gonna just drag me. So there's you guys should know that there is something interesting that's going to happen at the conference, the ZK Proof 6 conference in Berlin, which is there's talks of creating a verified verifier, meaning ZK Proof, the organization, starting to potentially bless one particular embodiment and implementation of a verifier on one of the schemes and put efforts over 12 months to formally verify, squeeze out bugs, and write down all the specs to the level needed for verification.
That's exciting.
It's a huge effort, and I think people in this community should be aware of it and probably weigh in on how it should work.
Well, I'm going to Hacks. Will anyone from Cadit be at Hacks? High Assurance.
I don't think so.
Conference?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
because that is exactly the kind of venue for to discuss that kind of verifiable software.
Any ideas that you can glean from people working there? There's, by the way, in 9 days there's a deadline for call for papers for the Berlin conference, or anyone that has like new stuff to show. I think I plugged this enough here, so I thank you.
Thanks, John. Any other questions on Zcash shielded assets? Otherwise, we can move on to the open announcements, which John already did one, but we can. Okay, let's move on. Open announcements. Any other open announcements from anyone else in the community?
Can I ask a question? An open question? Who knows the Y Wallet team and people? Who's working with them? Who are they? Are they a front for 3 letters? Like what's up with that?
So Y Wallet is built by an individual called Han, who lives in Asia. There's no reason to think that he's an employee of an agency, a TLA. But yeah, it's an individual who originally, the reason it's called Y Wallet was because he was originally, well, and still is associated with the Ycash project, which forked off from Zcash a few years ago, and now he receives funding from the Community Grants Committee to maintain and work on Y Wallet and some other projects.
Chris said in the chat that he thinks that Han lives in Australia.
Anyone ever high-fived the person, like physically? Because we use his software, right? Like
I've been on calls with him and had discussions, but that's the extent of it.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a real person.
Yeah,
There
I've not
are
seen
videos
his
of
face,
him
but I've heard
demoing
the
the
same
wallet.
voice multiple times.
I think he showed
okay,
his face when he demonstrated the hardware wallet for not Trezor, the other one, Ledger.
Ledger, yeah.
He recorded a video of himself demoing it.
Thank you, guys. So I don't know if this is
reasonable
this was
evidence to believe that Han is a real person.
I believe they're a real person. I'm Han. If you hear us, please join the next one. I want to thank you for
Well, I
the
think
piece of
that
software.
Han is
A bit early or late.
like sleeping at this time of the day, so that actually proves that he's a person. Because if he was a machine, like, he wouldn't sleep at all. He could be present in all meetings.
Yeah, we all know those people who don't sleep and are still human, right?
So here's the question: is Han Satoshi?
But with
well,
a Z or with a Y.
Yeah, Satoshi with a Y. That's a good one.
Okay, I feel like we moved into the open discussion portion. So any other discussion topics about who else is human or otherwise, or anything else related to Zcash? Please raise your hand.
I'm human.
I'm not human.
I will refer you guys to a non-human called Claude 3, which you all should try. It's better than GPT-4. Just FYI.
Paku, you wanted to say something or just say you're human?
No, yeah. If I'm not human, then I'm the first machine to have a cold.
You just passed the
but
Turing test.
Yeah, by sneezing. 17 hours UTC, we have like client working group. Everyone is invited to join. Inside Discord's like client working group channel, we have the agenda. We have some like small quick updates from every team attending, and then the idea would be discussing some things, mostly things around the development, outreach, and deployment of the transparent source only T addresses and zip 320 implementation across the ecosystem. Also, we'll be probably hearing out, it would be a great venue if anyone is using the ECC SDKs to get in touch with Andrea from ECC, who is, I think her title would be project manager. Is that correct?
Yes.
And we will have folks from Edge, and we will be probably discussing some things around SDK deployment frictions for React Native, among others.
And I'll be there too.
And there are also an open agenda as well. So everyone is welcome to join. And that's my announcement.
And the Light Client working group, that's on the R&D Discord.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's R&D Discord, Light Client working group. Exactly.
Oh, thank you, Paku. Anyone else have any other announcement or discussion item?
Oh, I think since last Arborist call, I've stepped down as a zip editor. So that was planned at the end of February. I'm really confident that the zip editors who are there now are able to do an excellent job.
By the way, if you're not a panelist and you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand and someone will promote you to panelist. If you have an item to discuss or a question or anything. Last call for discussion items, announcements. We've got a little bit of time to react. Nope. Okay, let's leave it there. Thank you very much. The next Arborist call will be on Thursday, 21st of March at 21 UTC. Double check your calendar invites. They seem to be messing up if you're not, if you don't change time zones, I guess. If you don't do daylight savings, so.
Not again.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's not changing yet, but I think it will be changing soon enough. But anyway, next one, 21 UTC. Yeah, check what time that is in your local time zone and double check that your calendar invite is at right time.
Okay,
so yeah,
the time zone on the invite is actually incorrect. But anyway.
So not for me. I think this varies between people.
So it depends on. So it is definitely incorrect in the ICS file, but it depends what client you're using. So you may get a double correction, so two incorrect things cancel out. But yeah.
Yeah, for the record, we don't control the ICS file. It's sent out by Zoom. We don't have anything to do with it. So just advise the people create their own calendar entry and set it to the appropriate time in UTC as opposed to in the local time zone.
We will have AGI before time is sold. Seriously.
Even AGI won't be able to handle time zones properly.
I mean, you could just disable the automatic Zoom thing and just do it manually, because it's a repeating event. It won't require that much maintenance.
Are we sure that Zoom itself has the right time? Could someone have scheduled this meeting in Zoom for the wrong time and yet it lets us start the meeting whenever you want?
Oh, I did double check that, and it's set in UTC in the administration side. Derek, can you repeat that recommendation that you just said a second ago?
Yeah, just disable the automatic Zoom calendar notifications and just create the event manually.
Okay, maybe Dodger and I, we can look into that.
Well, we don't want to delete and recreate the event. We don't want to start causing confusion with multiple different events and people joining to 2 different events. So I think if people are having trouble with their calendars, then I suggest that they delete the calendar entry and create a new one as a simple, straightforward, and non-complex and unrisky approach to not causing disruption.
Yeah, I confirm
mean,
that's troubleshooting.
If you create the manual event, you can give it the same URL as the automatically generated Zoom one. Just saying. Okay.
All right.
I'm pleased everyone who is sharing their calendar with me should delete the wrong event because it's so confusing.
Right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Cheerio.